We are here with the gorgeous and one-of-a-kind dancer who is redefining beauty norms. Sydney Mesher, thank you so much for sitting down with us today.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited.
Absolutely. We're so happy you're here. So you not only conquered the dreams of dancers all over the world by becoming a Rockette at the legendary Radio City Music Hall, but you are also the very first Rockette with a noticeable disability in the organization's 94 years. So what has it meant to you to redefine those standards and to be a role model for others with disabilities?
I have always lived my life just kind of living as everybody else would. I find that my disability doesn't really stop me or prohibit me from doing things, so I'm really grateful for that. Working in the entertainment industry, it's obviously a lot of it is about your body, and being a dancer, your body is your job. And so I've had to really just like stay headstrong in a sense and just work really hard because I always wanted to know that my talent was strong enough. So if I was presented some sort of opportunity or if I got a new job, like I knew that I deserved that for my talent. So with everything that I've done in my career, not just being a Rockette, I feel like I've really put in the effort to feel comfortable to present myself in that light. And that also helps though, because within the industry, I would love the idea of presenting a new normal, like with different body types, with disabilities, with different races, everything. And I think it's really important to showcase different backgrounds. And so being one of those people, like it's so humbling and I'm so grateful to do it in many different ways, but it's also like, I also know that I do deserve to be there, which I think is a really important factor because I am just as capable as everybody else. I just happen to have a different body. And so I'm like, really, it's really humbling and it's fun to like kind of be in this new transition period where different people are being recognized.
Did you ever feel though that you needed to be exceptionally better than others because of your difference, or?
I put that on myself. I never like grew up with the idea of like to be a professional dancer with someone with a disability that I needed to be like way better than anybody else. I just like wanted that for myself so I could feel validated in what I was doing. And I feel like every dancer feels that own way though in themselves. Like we're so competitive, like it's so like you're striving for perfection in that sense when it comes to dance typically. And so I always worked really hard for that, but I don't necessarily equate that to because my disability, it just like is something that comes with being a hard worker.
Right. And I love that mindset. And the only reason I did ask that is because I do feel like others with disabilities might be hesitant or feel like they're not good enough. And so what advice do you have for others with disabilities to make their dreams come true?
I think a lot of it does stem down to hard work. I am from Portland, Oregon, and there's not a lot of dance connections in that city. So I had to just like really outsource for information and different training and just like keep following and trusting my gut that this is what I was supposed to do. Because like I didn't grow up in LA or New York or even some places that have really like crazy studios that bring in all these different choreographers and different dance teachers. Like I really had to push and find those connections in that training. And I guess my advice is just to like really, I mean, this is for everyone, but not someone with just a disability, but it's just, you have to like find that thing that makes you happy and you have to trust that. A lot of it does come down to like connections and just like situations that provide you the right opportunity, like luck, I guess, in a sense. But if you're in the right headspace and you keep following that thing that just like brings you joy, then those opportunities will fall into place. So it's just like keeping with that.
I love that. I love the one thing you said about trusting your gut.
Yeah.
Trust your gut. You know, you love it and go for it. I love that. And what age did you actually start dancing at? And then when did you know that you wanted to make it a career?
Yeah, so I started dancing, honestly, like the generic thing I can say is that I started dancing before I could walk. My parents, when I was born, my mom said I had really long toes, and so she knew I was going to be a dancer. She knew, like literally my parents knew before I knew, and my dad like always had music playing on because he was like a drummer for fun, but we always had rock music playing on, and my natural reaction to that was to be dancing. And so I like started taking recreational classes, but like the clarifying moment for me was when I chose to leave my high school in Oregon and I went to a performing arts high school in the city still, but like I left everything I knew, and that's where I kind of like I just like had more of tunnel vision, and that was a time for me to figure it out, see if I really loved dancing so much that it could be my priority like that. I was still in the safety of like being young and being in high school, and like I wasn't necessarily like committing my whole entire life to this. But that year that I went to that performing arts high school, really helped me like solidify that that was my passion and that I really wanted to do it. Yeah.
I love that. And I know, speaking of your parents, they actually found out that you were going to be born without a left hand in a routine ultrasound. And from that moment, they said that you were never going to be treated differently. So do you feel like that shaped you as a performer that you are today?
For sure. Yeah, my parents found out in, I think it was the second trimester, I believe. I'm kind of at a loss for that right now, but they found out, they found out before I was born that I was going to have a left hand, and they definitely had like time to prepare to figure out like the proper way to raise me, and the best way in that situation is to treat me as like exactly the same, because I really am not any different. And I definitely think that mentality of just like overcoming obstacles, whether in, for me, like my obstacles are obviously specific to me, but everybody has those in their own like shape or form. And that allowed me to like really push myself and stay true to myself. And like every no, I was able to come back stronger because I was so used to like figuring things out. And I think not only has it allowed me to be more like have stronger perseverance and figure things out, but I also feel like I am really empathetic, which definitely helps me when I'm like as a professional dancer. You're working with so many different people. It's so personable, it's connection based. And I feel like that has really allowed me to work in different, like just like create great relationships for working environments, which is really special.
I think as a dancer is really important as well, because although you say you're working with people constantly, you are constantly in competition as well for that same job, for that same role. So to be able to have that, I think definitely sets you apart from others.
Yeah. It's like definitely, especially with auditioning, like you're auditioning against your best friends, and it's a very, very hard, so much of it is like not even, it is competition against them, but like there's so many more factors, like your height, your hair color, like everything goes into play, especially in the entertainment industry. And so it's really like hard to it's like hard to navigate because that competitiveness is there. But you're able to like step away, and I think that's where the empathy comes in, because I'm able to step away and it's like it's really not that person, like it's just there's so many things in question here, and so it like definitely helps with that for sure.
Yeah, that's amazing. And do you have any pre-show rituals that you do before hitting the stage?
Honestly, every job that I do, not just performing live but like working commercially and stuff, I feel like I'm a huge, like I have to sit and envision myself doing it. I like will close my eyes and just visualize myself on set or myself getting into costume or something like that. I think that really helps me because if I can like see it, it doesn't feel as fearful. So that just kind of zens me out, and I kind of have to like not even think about it too much, because I think the more that I think about it, it stresses me out. Like I'm just going to do my job. I've trained for this. I have the technique, I have the discipline, like I have everything in my toolbox, so to speak. So if I like stress myself out, it's just going to give me anxiety. So I just have to like take a breath and then just go to work.
I know to be also a dancer, a big factor as well is fitness. And I know that's something that is important to you. So do you have a fitness routine that you stick to?
Yeah, I work out a lot. I don't technically consider dancing to be fitness, which is obviously weird because you have to be so athletic to be a dancer. I do cross train a lot. I do a lot of Pilates. I do a lot of like kind of like CrossFit style classes. I go to the gym where I run and do different weight exercises and stuff like that. I really like to keep my body strong because, like I said, I don't consider dancing exercising, so that my body is like ready to be in the studio or be on stage.
Right, constantly. And I'm guessing too to keep that stamina, because you could get a call right now that's like, let's take you on tour. You need to have that stamina good.
Exactly. And you don't want to be like just feeling like you're a deer in headlights. And it's also like it comes into play. I'm now almost certified as a yoga teacher, which helps like with my flexibility and just like zenning out. So it's all relative when it comes to your body, and having that diverse background is obviously so helpful.
I know we can also find your fitness routine. You just did a thing with Pop Sugar where we can find out your fitness routine as well. So that's up now.
Yeah, it's a little like day in, I guess I would say day in the life, but it's like a week's worth, but it's fun. Yeah. And I like run, I do different types of things. And like I said, I think having versatility in your training is really helpful.
Really important. Absolutely. You also went to Pace University you got your bachelor's for the arts. So you wanted to work commercially in music videos and being on tour. So is that something you're also still pursuing?
So the first job I actually did was a commercial, which was really exciting. Like fresh out college, I was on a national commercial, which was just crazy. But so that type of stuff is I love that type of work. I think there's obviously such a beauty in live performance versus like getting able to perfect it for that perfect shot. Like both worlds are really interesting for different reasons. Right now, things are becoming way more virtual. So like just because of the pandemic. And so that definitely is something that's at the forefront of my mind. I just like love any type of work. I'm one of those like hustlers. I live in New York City. Like it's that mentality of like just loving to work. That's kind of my mindset. I'm happy to do anything as long as I get to like express myself and be an artist. So yeah. I can't really be picky.
Speaking of everything in the arts right now, a huge hashtag going around in the arts world is Save the Arts. So can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, it's just that the arts community is one of the biggest contributors to the economy. And a lot of times it unfortunately gets looked over. The arts are continually like just considered a side gig and not as respected. And that is just something that I think is hopefully changing, but right now it's obviously taking a hit just because of what's happening in the state of 2020. And I think that, well, I know the hashtag Save the Arts is just to really bring awareness and respect back to the people who work in this community, because we do really contribute a lot to not only the economy, but just society as a whole. Like art is so important. Broadway is so important, especially to New York City. Like it's all really just like embedded into the culture of New York City and just America as a whole. Like art is so important. And so I think that hashtag is just to really like remind people to respect artists and to really bring an awareness and think of them, because it gets overlooked a lot. And
did that kind of start with the beginning of the pandemic and not knowing when you'd be back on stage or when you're going to be performing again?
There's just so much uncertainty. And I mean, there is always questions, like not even with the pandemic, but people are like, oh, so what do you do for real when you tell people you're a dancer? Like that respect is not necessarily always there. Yeah. Even though it's a really hard job and it's a credible job. I think it's just like, it comes down to respect. That's really what that is. So.
I'd like to talk a little bit, not about your dancing, but about a nonprofit that you're pretty passionate about called the Luck Fin Project. So can you tell us about the organization and why it's so close to your heart?
Yeah, Lucky Fin Project is an organization that really revolves around bringing awareness to limb deformities. And primarily it's hand deformities, but that kind of is, it's very relative. It is a nonprofit that I found out about. I think I was in college when I found out about them. And it really just brings together a community. They do like a weekend every year where people come in and get to meet different families and children and just people who all have experienced this, because it's a very particular type of disability. It's like very obvious. I'm able to live my life very easily. So it's like, there's a lot of things that I deal with every day, but don't deal with every day. And having people to relate to is really special. So it just like cultivates a community of people who understand really how and what it means to have a hand deformity. And it's really great. I'm so grateful to like know these people and work with this organization, because I think they're doing some amazing work.
That's awesome. And for anyone watching, if they want to donate or even participate in that convention, where does it happen and where can we donate?
Yeah, so the Lucky Fin Project weekend typically happens in Troy, Michigan, but unfortunately this year it was canceled. They have a Facebook page that they are really active on and a website where you can also buy merchandise. Everything is like within the nonprofit. So it's Lucky Fin Project and they are amazing. Yeah.
Awesome. That's great to know. Thank you. And I also want to talk about, you're an amazing hip hop dancer. So who is a dream artist that you would like to go on tour with?
That's such a good question. I personally have always wanted to dance for Lady Gaga just because I'm obsessed with her choreographers and her team and her dancers. I think they are like a very diverse but really talented and really strong group of people. But that being said, like kind of what I was saying earlier, I just want to work. That's just like my mentality, and being sometimes hard to be picky in this industry, especially when you're just like so grateful to dance and do what you love. So that's kind of like where I'm at, but
that'd be amazing.
You definitely have those goals and dreams. So.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah. So to end the interview, we always ask a few random questions. So I know that you love to cook. So what is one of your favorite dishes to cook?
I like revolve around like the same 10 meals recently. It's funny, but I make this one like fusion bowl that everything in mine usually starts with like onions and garlic, and then I use kale, carrots, what else do I put in it? Bell peppers. I use like rice noodles, and then I put it in like a Thai chili sauce.
Oh yeah.
So it's really yum, and you saute it all up so it like really brings out the flavor, and it's like I sometimes add some spice to it too. So that is really yummy. And I also will add like kimchi to it, and it's just like really
the second you said garlic, I was like sold. I feel like anything you put garlic in, it's so good. And who was your childhood celebrity crush?
Honestly, it's still very real. Robert Pattinson. I love Robert Pattinson. I like fell in love with him with Twilight. I don't know. Something about like his vibe. I've always been such a Robert Pattinson
That's
fan.
so amazing. I love that. You are the first person to say that. That's so good. And do you have any hidden talents that we don't know about, or like a party trick?
I'm horrible with accents and singing, which actually comes out a lot because I'm so bad at it that it becomes entertaining. Like, it's like the opposite effect. But I kind of have a green thumb. I plant a lot, and I'm just like, yeah, I paint. Nothing too crazy. I'm like very like open
Love
book.
the painting. But you know what? Being really bad at something is a talent in itself. So the accent thing is a great one.
Yeah. I'm like so bad at accents. It's entertaining. So
I love it. And do you have any upcoming projects that we can see you in? I know it's a little hard right now with you being a dancer, but
yeah, right now, nothing that's like really at the forefront. A lot of it is more virtual, just like waiting and eager for work to come back. But like studios are starting to open, so things will start to happen again.
you can get back in there. Well, thank you so much, Cindy, for sitting down with us. It was amazing to talk to you, and we can't wait
to talk to you too. Yeah, it's a pleasure. Yeah. Thank you so much.